Ever feel like your surroundings are working against you?
Oh, yeah.
Like no matter how hard you try,
Uh-huh.
some areas of your life just feel kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive might hold some clues.
Okay.
We're looking at this concept called stand ball,
Oh.
or space energy, as explained by
Right.
this Vedic astrologer in one of their YouTube videos.
Interesting. So how does this work?
Well, I guess maybe you could explain it better than I could.
Okay, sure.
But from what I gathered,
Yeah.
in Vedic astrology, stand ball is like,
Yeah?
it's calculated based on your birth chart,
Yes.
and it kind of reflects the strength of each planet.
It reflects the strength of each planet, yes.
There you.
Absolutely. So it's not just about the physical space you live in,
Right.
but it's more about how those planetary energies influence your experience of that space.
So it's like each planet has
Yes.
its own kind of like energetic vibe,
Yes, exactly.
and depending on, your birth chart, some of those vibes might be
Yes.
stronger or weaker for you.
Absolutely. And that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, but how does this tie in to Vastu?
Yeah.
You know that Indian system of architectural design we've
Yes.
talked about before?
Yeah.
The astrologer actually suggests that a strong stand ball can override negative Vastu.
It can override negative Vastu.
So even if your home
Yeah.
isn't like perfectly aligned
Right.
with all the Vastu principles,
Mm-hmm.
the strength of your planetary energies could compensate.
Could compensate, yeah.
On the other hand,
Uh-huh.
like a weak stand ball might mean
Right.
that even good Vastu won't be as effective.
Exactly.
Wow. That completely changes how I think about these two systems.
Yeah, it's fascinating how they interact.
It's like Vastu provides like
Yeah.
the framework,
Mm-hmm.
but stand ball is like the energy flowing through it.
Exactly. And the astrologer provides some really compelling example of how this plays out in real life. For instance, they
Right.
talk about a client who had these constant problems with their neighbors,
Oh.
and it turned out that the client had a low moon stand ball.
Now, I know the moon is connected to
Mhm.
emotions and nurturing.
Exactly.
So I can see how a weak moon stand ball
Yeah.
could create difficulties in those areas.
Yes.
What about other areas of life? Does
Mm.
each planet
Yeah.
have its own set of challenges
It does, yes.
associated with a weak stand ball?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The astrologer links a weak stand ball in specific planets to challenges in those corresponding areas of life.
Okay.
They said that if you have a low Mars stand ball, for
Mhm.
example, you might find yourself dealing with kitchen issues or difficulty completing projects.
Wait a minute. Are you spying on me?
What do you mean?
Because that is my life in a nutshell.
Really?
My kitchen is a constant disaster zone.
Yeah.
And I have about 1 million unfinished projects.
Oh, wow.
Maybe my Mars stand ball is sending me a message.
Well, it's not about messages per se, but rather understanding how these planetary energies manifest in our lives.
Okay.
Mars is the planet of action and energy.
Right.
So when it's weak in your chart, it can show up as procrastination, feeling stuck, or even literal problems with the place where you cook and prepare food.
Okay, so maybe it's not just me being messy, it's my
Maybe.
weak Mars stand ball whispering, just order takeout tonight.
It's possible.
So what about other planets?
Yes.
What happens if your Saturn stand ball is low?
Well, Saturn represents structure and discipline and boundaries.
Oh.
So a weak Saturn stand ball
Mm-hmm.
could lead to a lack of order and things like that.
Right.
Maybe you find yourself constantly struggling to keep things organized.
Now that you mention it, I have been meaning to clean out my shoe rack
Uh-huh.
for about 6 months now.
Oh, wow.
Maybe Saturn is trying to tell me something.
It's possible.
What about Jupiter?
Jupiter.
What happens
Yeah.
when that planet's energy is weak?
Well, Jupiter is all about expansion and wisdom and spirituality.
Okay.
So a weak Jupiter stand ball can manifest in a few interesting ways.
Okay.
The astrologer mentioned that people with low Jupiter stand ball often have cluttered spaces or struggle with false spiritual beliefs.
That's so interesting. I never thought about clutter as being related to a planet's energy,
Right.
but it makes sense.
It does make sense when you think about Jupiter being about expansion.
And what about false spiritual beliefs?
Yeah.
How does that connect to Jupiter?
Well, think about it this way. Jupiter is about seeking truth and higher knowledge.
Okay.
So if its energy is weak in your chart, it might be harder to discern
Uh-huh.
what's truly beneficial for your spiritual growth.
Okay.
You might find yourself clinging to beliefs
Right.
that aren't actually serving you. The astrologer even made a point about how some people dislike empty spaces because they haven't learned to embrace that minimalist Jupiterian energy.
Oh, interesting.
They feel the need to fill every nook and cranny.
Right, yeah. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like our astrological blueprint
Right.
is influencing our design choices
Yeah.
and our comfort levels with certain aesthetics.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the moon, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter.
Yeah.
What about the sun?
The sun.
How does a weak sun stand ball manifest?
Well, the sun is all about leadership and vitality
Right.
and the direction east. So a
Yep.
weak sun in Stanball
Okay.
can show up as a lack of confidence,
Right.
difficulty managing affairs.
Okay.
It can also manifest as problems specifically on the east side of your home.
So if my plants on my east-facing balcony keep dying, that could be a sign of a weak sun stand ball.
It could be.
I knew I shouldn't have put those orchids out there.
Well, remember, we're not saying that every little problem is directly caused by your Stanball.
Okay.
It's more about using this concept as a lens to understand the underlying energies that might be influencing your experiences.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about how a weak stand ball
Yeah.
in different planets can create specific challenges.
Yeah.
But what can we actually do about it?
Right.
Is there a way to strengthen these planetary energies?
Well, that's where this deep dive takes a really intriguing turn.
Ooh,
The astrologer doesn't just suggest traditional Vastu remedies.
okay.
They propose something quite unique. Visiting temples.
Wait, hold on. Visiting temples can actually improve your stand ball.
That's what they suggest.
How does that even work?
Well, according to this astrologer, temples are intentionally designed to be conduits for cosmic energy.
Okay.
They explain that the garbhagriha, or the inner sanctum of the temple, acts as a focal point, capturing and amplifying the energy of the deity residing there.
So it's like each temple is a sort of energetic antenna tuned to a specific planetary frequency.
That's a great way to put it.
But wouldn't you need to travel to India
Right.
to find temples for all the planets?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
While many ancient and powerful temples are indeed in India, you can often find temples dedicated to specific deities,
Right.
representing the planets in other parts of the world as well.
Okay, so for example,
Yeah.
if I wanted to boost my Mars energy,
Uh-huh.
I could look for a temple dedicated to the deity
Right.
associated with Mars,
Exactly.
even if it's not in India.
Even if it's not in India. And the astrologer emphasizes
Okay.
that it's not just about physically being in the temple.
Oh.
They suggest that even visualizing yourself in that sacred space, meditating on the deity's energy,
Okay.
or performing rituals at home can have a positive impact.
So it's about creating that energetic connection.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea that we can tap into these powerful energies, even if we can't physically travel to a specific location.
Right.
It's like a mental pilgrimage.
And this idea of intention and energetic connection being key is
Right.
further emphasized when the astrologer talks about their own experience.
Okay.
They recount a visit to the Sharda Devi temple,
Oh, wow.
which, for those who may not know, is a very powerful Shakti Peeth in India.
Oh, wow. I've heard of Shakti Peeths.
Yes.
They're considered incredibly potent energy centers, right?
Yes, they're believed to be places where the divine feminine energy is especially strong.
Okay.
The astrologer described feeling such intense energy at this particular temple
Yeah.
that they actually forgot their own name for a moment.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the kind of energy vortex you'd have to be standing in
Yeah.
to have something like that happen.
Yeah.
It definitely adds weight to the idea that these places can have a tangible impact on us.
Absolutely.
And the astrologer doesn't stop there.
They don't.
They also highlight another fascinating way to improve your stand ball,
Yes.
the power of giving.
Giving.
Okay, now we're really venturing into uncharted territory. How does giving connect to stand ball and planetary energies?
Well, remember that Jupiter is the planet of abundance, generosity, and expansion. The astrologer specifically emphasizes that donating to temples as an act of selfless giving can significantly boost your Jupiterian energy.
So it's not just about receiving energy from the temples,
Yes.
it's also about contributing to that flow of positive energy.
Precisely. And it's interesting to note that this idea of the power of giving is supported by research in other fields as well. For example, there was a study done in Japan that found a correlation between people who diligently clean their toilets daily and having a higher household income.
Wait a minute. Cleaning toilets and earning more money. What's the connection there?
I know, it sounds a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
But the researchers suggest that it's not about the act of cleaning itself, but rather what it represents: discipline, attention to detail, and perhaps even a sense of gratitude for one's possessions. These qualities, in turn, could lead to greater success in other areas of life.
That's a really thought-provoking connection.
I know. It's fascinating.
It suggests that even seemingly mundane actions can have a ripple effect on our overall well-being.
Exactly. And maybe it ties back to Jupiter in a way, that sense of abundance and prosperity emanating from a clean and well-maintained space.
Exactly. It highlights the interconnectedness of our inner and outer worlds.
Yes.
And how even small, conscious actions can influence the flow of energy in our lives.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about how a weak stand ball can create challenges. And we've explored the unique solutions of visiting temples and engaging in acts of giving. But I'm still curious about how this applies to our listeners. What's the key takeaway that we want them to grasp from this deep dive?
Well, I think the most important point to remember is that our homes, our lives, and even our challenges can be seen through this fascinating lens of stand ball. It's a way to understand the energetic blueprint that's shaping our experiences, and then use that knowledge to create positive change.
And those changes can range from making simple adjustments to our living spaces based on Vastu principles, to exploring the deeper impact of temple visits, or even simply shifting our mindset around giving and receiving.
Exactly.
It's about becoming more conscious of the energies we're inviting into our lives.
Absolutely.
It really feels empowering to know that we're not just passive recipients of fate. We have agency in shaping our own destiny, even on a cosmic level.
I love that.
And that reminds me of something the astrologers emphasized in their video. They really encouraged viewers to not just blindly accept these concepts, but to actively test them out in their own lives. To even challenge people to look at their own homes, specifically those areas ruled by planets with weak stand ball, and see if there are any recurring issues.
That's great advice.
So it's like a real-world treasure hunt for cosmic clues.
I love it.
It's about becoming more attuned to the subtle energies that surround us and learning how they might be influencing our experiences.
Exactly.
So what does all of this mean for you listening in right now? What's the one key takeaway we want you to walk away with from this deep dive into stand ball?
I think the biggest takeaway is that stand ball provides a fascinating framework for understanding the energy dynamics that are shaping our lives. It's not just about predicting challenges. It's about using that knowledge to create positive change.
And those changes can be simple things like, you know, incorporating more of a certain color associated with a planet into your home. Or making adjustments based on Vastu. Or it can be something more profound, like exploring the impact of temple visits, or even shifting your mindset around giving.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we have more power than we realize to shift our energy and create a reality that aligns with our highest potential.
And remember, as the astrologer pointed out, personal experience is key. Don't just take our word for it. Explore these concepts for yourself. And see how they resonate with your own life.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been an amazing journey through Vedic astrology, temple energy, and even the surprising connection between clean toilets and abundance.
Who knew?
I don't know about you. But I'm feeling incredibly inspired to explore these concepts further.
Me too.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It sparks curiosity, opens up new possibilities, and hopefully empowers you to take a fresh look at your own life.
Right.
And the energies that might be subtly influencing it.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this episode, here's a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
For you to ponder. Which areas of your life could benefit from exploring the concept of stand ball?
Okay.
Could a visit to a specific temple, even just in your imagination, be a catalyst for positive change?
I like that.
And how can you tap into the power of giving to enhance your own abundance?
Beautiful.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe.
I love it.
The journey of self-discovery is an ongoing adventure.
Yes.
And every deep dive, whether into ancient wisdom or modern research, brings us closer to understanding our place in this grand tapestry of existence.
I love it. That's where this deep dive takes a really intriguing turn.
Okay.
The astrologer doesn't just suggest traditional Vastu remedies.
Okay.
They propose something quite unique.
Okay.
Visiting temples.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Visiting temples can actually improve your stand ball.
That's what they suggest.
How does that even work?
Right.
I've always thought of temples as places of worship, not cosmic energy boosters.
Well, according to this astrologer,
okay,
temples are intentionally designed to be conduits for cosmic energy.
Interesting.
They explain that the garbhagriha, or the inner sanctum of the temple, acts as a focal point.
Okay.
Capturing and amplifying the energy of the deity residing there.
So it's like each temple is a sort of energetic antenna tuned to a specific planetary frequency.
That's a great way to put it.
But wouldn't you need to travel to India to find temples for all the planets?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
While many ancient and powerful temples are indeed in India, you can often find temples dedicated to specific deities representing the planets in other parts of the world as well.
So for example, if I wanted to boost my Mars energy, I could look for a temple dedicated to the deity associated with Mars.
Right.
Even if it's not in India.
Even if it's not in India. Okay. And the astrologer emphasizes that it's not just about physically being in the temple.
Oh.
They suggest that even visualizing yourself in that sacred space, meditating on the deity's energy, or performing rituals at home can have a positive impact.
So it's about creating that energetic connection.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea that we can tap into these powerful energies, even if we can't physically travel to a specific location.
Right.
It's like a mental pilgrimage.
And this idea of intention and energetic connection being key is further emphasized when the astrologer talks about their own experience at this. They recount a visit to the Sharda Devi temple.
Oh, wow.
Which, for those who may not know, is a very powerful Shakti pith in